know if you saw the TV glow, but I don't think mine glows. It's kind of lit up, but I don't know. Whatever. I guess it's a matter of opinion. But speaking of opinions, got one on this one. But let's start off with the IMDb plot. Two teenagers bond over their love of a supernatural TV show, but it mysteriously is canceled. All right. Yeah, that sucks when your TV show that you really like sucks. And speaking of supernatural, I miss it. So, yeah, I can kind of feel them with that. So, anyway, this one is a new movie. I think it was at some festivals or so forth and is now kind of making its way out to more audiences. So, we'll try to keep this fairly spoiler free. Yeah, I guess there is a bit to spoil, so we'll kind of try to keep that saved for you guys to watch if you haven't seen it yet. I guess one of the reasons kind of doing this review, and then this going to give you maybe a heads up and a spoiler on on what I'm feeling for this movie, yeah, is in some of my more recent reviews I kind of talked about not wanting to hate on movies anymore, and I kind of stopped that. But then I kind of thought, maybe I should talk about some movies, maybe that I don't maybe hate on, but maybe just didn't care for or didn't like as much, just to kind of mix it up so you guys don't think that I like or love or whatever every movie that I'm reviewing here. Although I've done some that I didn't like, and especially one more recently. If you want to check out my Strangers Chapter 1 review, interesting long review there. But anyway, yeah, apparently, and I guess I'm in the minority here, disagree with people on this one. I think I've seen, an article or two on movies, top 10 movies or whatever of this year, and we're halfway through the year now, horror-wise, and this was included in some of those lists. I've seen a lot of people that I respect their opinions and reviews, and they've said good things about this movie. But for me, no, it wasn't my kind of movie, and I just didn't get it. And I don't know. Not to say that the movie was bad, not to say that the actors are bad, not to say that it was poorly done or well, I don't know. For me, it was maybe a little bit of a painful watch, but not overall painful as compared to some of the stuff that I turn off, either on Netflix or Amazon or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I guess that's the best way to say it. Kind of like I'm thinking of, what is it? Schoenbrun was it last year or the year before? Lots of people really liked that one. It was included in lots of people's top 10 of the year list, and yeah, that one also went over my head. Strange movie, whatever. I credit them for what they tried to do. It was definitely something different, but that was another one that just not for me. So yeah, I just kind of give you a glimpse of what was happening here again. The further it goes, yeah, there is, I guess, some stuff to spoil, but maybe you guys can kind of see it coming as you're watching it. But basically, you have a young boy here. He's in 7th grade, and he's awkward. There's something wrong with him. Maybe he's a little bit different, and kind of sticks to his own. And the only thing he really cares about is this show. But in a weird way, he really can't see the show. So I guess it's one of those things. Maybe that's something that there's, I guess, some things in this movie that maybe people relate to, and maybe that's why they like it. And maybe one of those things that to start is that there's that show or something that's on TV when you were maybe younger that your parents didn't want you to watch or didn't let you watch or couldn't watch, but you really desperately wanted to. And I guess that's kind of what happens for him is he knows this show, this weird supernatural show called the Pink Pig or something like that, and every time they said it's just weird. But he's interested in the show, wants to watch the show, but really can't. And then he has this chance meeting with this girl who's in 9th grade. He's in 7th, she's in 9th. And she's aware of the show, she likes the show, and she can watch the show. So, hey, new best friend. So, he kind of falls in with her, and she allows him to have a sleepover and watch, an episode of the show. And, I didn't quite catch it, but he might have done that more than, I think for sure he did at least one more time, but maybe on a couple of more occasions. That, she kind of, helps him, watch the show or talk about the show and so forth. And they kind of, start that bond over that. As the movie kind of rolls, you see him get a little older. He ends up in, I think the next kind of stage is he's in 9th grade and she's in 11th, and she's having all these issues. She's, broken up with her girlfriend. He comes along again. He's a little bit older now, but he's still really awkward and just kind of alone. And still his only interest really is the show. And he still kind of struggles to be able to watch it, even though he's older. So he kind of comes to her again. And, I guess they had been a little time apart. And, wants to talk about the show, wants to see the show again. And, then she's kind of like, she makes a point that, hey, I like girls. And he, kind of asked him. And he's really not sure. He's like, I don't know what I like. I just like the show. And that's it. So it kind of furthers his awkwardness. But she wants to make sure that, that he's just not crushing on her and whatever. And that's not the case here. So we don't really have a love story really going on in that respect. But then, the movies kind of progress, and they're going to get older, and, it is, completely this continued bond and talk about the show and the need to watch the show and things that are going on in the show. And, then I'm going to kind of stop there. Things will kind of get strange, and I don't want to go in too much further than that, because I think then it kind of leads down spoiler territory. But obviously there's going to be some connection, something meaning within this show. It's not just a show, to them. It becomes something more. And then, it is going to just have some strange, weird moments between the two of them, as this goes further along. And both, when they're together and separately. And, I don't know. I think I kind of gathered, when it ended, what was happening there, or what they hint was happening there. But to me, that didn't mean that it was a good movie at the end, or that I really enjoyed it at the end. I was just like, what did I just watch? Okay, whatever. Like I said, the acting's not bad. The young boy does good. Obviously, it changes because he gets older, and same with the girl. There's nothing wrong with the way it's shot. They do show, bits and pieces of the show. That was a little interesting. Had they probably showed more of the show, maybe that was something that seemed a little bit more interesting or up my alley, at least in some parts, but not all of it. But yeah, it's just kind of falls into that. And if you've followed my reviews, it's just going to fall into one of those movies that's strange and odd. Kind of like I said, Skin and Ring was strange and odd and whatever. And when movies kind of jump into that and kind of go down that river with me, it ends up down that river and over the waterfall. And yeah, that's the end of that. So yeah, I just, when it kind of ended, I was just like, yeah, okay, nothing here for me. I guess, maybe part of liking the film for some might be that it is a coming of age story. That I get. I mean, we've seen lots of horror with coming of age stories, and some good, some bad. And, I get that. I get that the boy is a character that, you want to root for. You want to kind of, you hope that he comes out of this awkwardness, that he's continuing battling, whatever it is, issue that's kind of holding him down and holding him, not that he's like in pain or whatever, or there's something, severely wrong with him, but, you almost want him to, do the coming of age thing, break out of that shell, but for a long time he's still kind of a shy person, quiet person. He doesn't really want to break the rules. I mean, he obviously breaks a couple of rules, but is obviously really just in his shell and really only interested in the show. And you want him to, you're rooting for him to kind of bloom and get out of that. So I get that. I mean, if that's why you're liking the film, I get that. It's definitely from his angle more than the girl's angle, but she kind of goes through a little bit of her own. She's more out of her shell, but there's still some things going on with her. So I mean, if you're rooting for them and rooting for them as characters, okay, I get that. And it's not that I hated the characters, and they were good characters, and like I said, the acting was fine. I didn't hate the acting or anything like that. Just the whole thing and what it meant and where it was going and whatever. Just when it kind of ended, I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't feel it was special. I didn't think it hit me in any way. Like I said, it has things where I see that people would like, and and in all fairness, I saw people comment on the movie and said they liked it. I did not go and specifically read why they liked it. So I don't know why specific things that they liked and why. On some places they rated high, but you guys know me. I'm blood and guts and slasher and more of that, and that's where I began. And I like twists and turns, and this one kind of has a twist in it too. But again, it just never landed for me, and it just never had me glued to the TV. I wasn't glowing while this was going on. This is not a glowing review of this movie. I guess if the TV is glowing, you'd be kind of like glued to it and like, hey, whatever. But none of that for me. It just that. So I guess I'll kind of wrap this up by saying it has gotten a lot of good reviews. People liked it and whatever. So I'm not telling you not to like it. It just wasn't for me. But I, just based on others' reviews, I would at least say, if you cross paths with it, you might want to give it a chance, unless you're truly, truly like me, and you're just more interested in twists and turns and blood and guts and that kind of thing. Then then maybe you want to pass. I don't know. Maybe if you're into movies that I classify as strange or weird, maybe because they kind of go over my head. Something like, again, Skinamarink, and that's the only one that kind of comes to my head at the moment, so that's why I keep saying it. But I know there's plenty others. Over the last couple of years, there's been some really odd movies. Anyway, things that go over my head and I don't get. So to me, that's going to fall in here. So if you're kind of in that boat with me, then maybe you want to pass. So I'm not telling you guys not to watch it, but for me, it didn't hit. So I'm going to have to give it one pool of blood. Again, it's not terrible, and that's probably not a fair rating because it's not, the movie's not bad. Just it's more of my interest, and it just wasn't. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with that. It suffers the sword here as I try to give you guys a little bit more of stuff that maybe I didn't care for or like as much. But because I honestly, after I watched this, I almost passed and I said, I'm just not. But I saw, it's much been kind of talked about a lot, and I've seen it pop up here and there. So I said, let me throw in my 2 cents and hey, just say that, hey, I didn't really care for it. So yeah, I think you guys get the point with that. So yeah, that's one pool of blood out of 5. And horrorsquarereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. Obviously written, you're going to have to go back a little ways. Mostly videos as of late. So you can subscribe and like and do everything that people want you to do here on YouTube. If that's all you're interested in, I'd appreciate it. But if not, no worries. It is truly okay. I thank you for your time regardless. And if you hate me for doing this review and giving it a poor rating, I'm sorry. Anyway, Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. So you can reach out to me there. Tell me you love the movie and I suck for hating it. And also in the comment section, you can do the same there. Or tell me what I'm missing and why I really should change my mind and love this movie. I don't know. So anyway, with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.